I certainly am getting to the point where this year I will make 100k, in fact more than that. Once you get a few properties, then you realise how important your network is. So when my project's completed, I'm expecting gross development value of £1 million plus, and I do check that. I think, really? But yeah, they're all £1 million plus where I am.
So guys, I'm delighted to introduce our next top performer from our Mastermind virtual program. Please put your hands together and welcome Janet Seed. Take it away, Janet.
Thank you, everyone. Yeah, this has been fantastic. And what can I say? I sort of feel like I need to thank everybody as well, like my Mastermind family, my coach, Bernadette, you know, obviously our Mastermind 32 as well, because there's some gentlemen who helped me on from that as well. And also obviously Simon and Andy, and you give great information and content, and none of this would have actually happened without you. And certainly when I signed up to Mastermind, I didn't actually imagine that I'd get such a lot of information, you know, and Simon, you spending time with us to discuss our deals is just like fantastic. It has been. Okay, I'll go to I'll not talk any further. I'll go on to my next slide. So, so where I started, again, I want to discuss that. So basically, also the next things I'm going to do with the bills, so which is going to be funded by CrowdProperty, the HMO purchase that I bought, basically, my rent-to-rent serviced accommodation that I'm actually doing this summer, and also my rent-to-rent HMO deal. HMO deals. I've got 4 properties, but those are increasing, and I'm getting excellent returns from all of them. And future deals that I'm doing, I've got a whole list of those and my summary of my deals. So, and my top tips. So that's all we look at. So this is where I started. So basically, we already had land, and I had that passed. Okay, and we were actually going through a process of actually building on those properties, but I used a very traditional method of mortgaging those properties, and it took an awful long time. They don't actually give you funding for the whole build, they only give you a proportion of it. I was working as a contractor, so I was basically working on software implementations, and they took me all over the country. There are other family members involved with this, including my dad, who unfortunately was in a care home because he'd actually broken his neck. So I used to go and take him all the pictures of what we were doing, and he was very into the fact we were doing the ground source, not air source heat pump, and all the eco parts of this. So, and he never saw it finished because I never got the funding that I should have, and I had to go and make the funding. So I never saw it finished. So that's one thing that I kind of regret. And it was only when I started talking to Simon that I realise that actually, when I want to build again, I can do this in a better way. Okay, I can finance it through our crowd. I can actually finance my next build by using, you know, by just taking the money that's the equity that's currently in the actual plot itself. So that's what I realised. So the other thing I also found out as well is that really I needed also a cash flow, because I wanted to finish contracting. I wanted to finish doing, you know, software implementation. So I also thought, okay, what's the best cash flow strategy? So obviously, as you know, Simon says that, you know, HMOs or SAs, they, you know, obviously bring in, you know, a chunk of cash flow. So I had 2 issues really at that point then. So my build, which Simon kind of helped solve me with, my next, you know, how I'm going to finance it. But then I also need to now increase or, you know, support myself, you know, by not having to work anywhere in the country, you know, London, Bristol, wherever I was traveling from or to. So yeah, so those were my 2 real needs. So obviously I've got to fund the build, and I need to find enough cash flow to support my build and me. Okay, so this is the house I'm actually currently or about to try and build. Okay, you can see basically the layout. There's a house in the middle. That's the kind of property we have. Either 2 sides, the ones we've currently built. And the other side is basically a plot at the moment. Okay, got an amazing view. It really is very beautiful. And I think I've showed a few people on Mastermind what it actually looks like. So it is quite a large property. And I was going to, I think about the build cost is about 300,000. That's what I'm actually budgeting for. Now the plot is probably worth, as we've talked about earlier today, actually more than 300,000 last time. Quite a few years ago, it was 300,000 for a plot. And then I thought at that point, well, the comparables, it was about 350. It probably has increased even since then. And if we include a little bit more land with it, it could even be worth more. So I've got enough equity in there to actually, build this house really with no worries, and be able to find that by actually do it in sort of like within 18 months is what I would want to do. So that's my plan. So when my project's completed, I'm expecting a gross development value of £1 million plus, and I do check that. I think, really? But yeah, they're all £1 million plus where I am. Any house that stands on its own ground, which has quite space around it, is that kind of price. So yeah, that's absolutely doable. Okay. So so this now goes on to the discussion about we were having earlier with you, and I said that I need to create income. So I'm taking over my sister's house that she uses occasionally, and I'm going to do that as a rent-to-rent SA, and we've agreed that between us. So the return on SA where I live currently is about 30,000 throughout the year. So if we have then 2 SAs, because I've got one as well, it gives us a 6-bed. That actually is quite, it probably even increases to that. So between the 2 of them, you'd be taking something like 60,000. And I'm obviously taking a proportion of that of her. So I think we've agreed that I'll about £1,000 as well, I'll take from hers as profit. So it's 3-bed. It's agreed for this summer. Okay, we have organised it. It is tidy and clean and sorted out all that stuff that was in it previously. I've spoken about, so as I say, profit after expenses. There's no mortgage on it actually. So again, we're going to take about, I've agreed, so I'll take about £1,000 from that. Okay, so this is my other case study. This is my HMO. So this is an interesting actual story. Again, I have sourced this via landlord letter. It was a landlord who has quite a large portfolio, but on the other side of the Pennines, and was travelling to this HMO weekly. Obviously, it's at least 2 hours each way, so it was quite a distance to go. So I viewed it, and I thought, well, actually, it's quite nice. I quite like it. Okay, but I hadn't really made a decision about this HMO until I was actually I went for a day out with my family actually to Manchester, and I came back in the rush hour, and I looked around me, and I thought, I don't want to do this anymore. That was my pivotal moment. I thought, I don't want to do this anymore. That HMO, those numbers stack up. That works for me. That gives me an income. I'm going to buy it. Okay, so the next day I rang her and I said, okay, I'll purchase it. I'll give you the full asking price. She wanted 240. It's a 6-bed. That was 10 o'clock in the morning. So that's great. Oh yeah, fine. I'll purchase. Yeah, we'll do the deal. Okay. I had my broker, obviously, because I've done all the figures from the broker and the mortgage, etc. This is obviously, they gave me an 80% mortgage. It was obviously before the interest rates went up, so it's quite a good deal. At 12 o'clock, my broker rang me to tell me that the actual company were pulling the mortgage, the actual product by 5 o'clock that day. I hadn't, Simon, sorted out my bank account or my company. So I thought, what am I going to do? Okay, well, I want this HMO. I've made a decision. I'm buying this HMO. I'm buying it now. Okay. So I went on Company's House and I registered a company. Then, like I said, did the paperwork and basically, obviously, then was able to complete. So I made the effort, really. I've made that decision. I was having a HMO, and that was it for me. So this was a fully tenanted, fully let HMO. It's also currently tenanted now. It's in a great place. It's near The train station, it is near the city centre, even the bus station. But yeah, and it's also in Article 4, so no others can really be done there. And there is some improvements I could make. So I can increase my rents, because I know that I'm working with another landlord, which I'm going to go on to the next slide. And basically, I've increased, or the difference in his rent and the HMO I have is about £10,000. So I know that I can increase this one by doing sort of like a refurb, or rolling refurb, to increase my rents by that amount of money. So it will actually, give me a significant income, really, even just from that, just from that one HMO. So, so as I say, I'm going to increase it by 10,000, and I'm hoping that's going to push it will push the property value up to about 275. So I'm quite pleased with that. I really like this house. I don't know whether you're meant to like them, but I really do. So that's my case study on my HMO. Then I've actually, again, through a landlord letter, this was actually one of the best things that I've ever done, landlord letters. The first person who actually rang me was a landlord who has quite an extensive portfolio, and basically said, do you want to, would you consider doing a rent to rent? And I went, okay. And I did discuss this with a number of people. And I think also when I was at Property Magic Live, I was discussing with some of the guys from MV32, and I was a bit like this. I like to purchase property. I don't really want to manage somebody else's property. But I did make that change in my attitude. I went to speak to him. It did take us a number of times where I was discussing, how this would work. He was very, very supportive, and actually brought in the local council's HMO officer, who basically he gave me a whole masterclass on HMOs, which was an amazing opportunity. What I have to do, what I have to consider, all the different aspects of HMOs, etc. So that really did give me a great uplift and gave me great confidence. So we did the deal, and they said, okay, well, after this, I've got another 3 other properties, we'll do them over time. So this is a 6-bed. So another 3 properties. We've agreed those terms. They're all going to be online this year. Tenant type is professional. My profit is £1,300, which is a great return. Now they're fully tenanted, I view them. I've got cleaners in, I've got other people in. I can use the power team that they have, or around that, around his other portfolio. So I think the next property is handed over to me, which is about to go through a refurb. It's going to be a 9-bed, so I would expect that to increase. So yeah, I don't even think it's about property. I actually do think it is about people, and we've said that before. But the contacts you make, it's sort of it sort of like is like a roller coaster. Then you just get more and more. In some ways, you do wonder where to stop. Come on. So in my future deals, so I've got a rent to rent 9-bed. I've got another 6-bed. I've got another 6-bed after that. I'm also working on another couple of other deals as well. So that again will increase, but it does give me a nice healthy income. I'm already financially free. I managed that before Christmas. So my current, I think, returns are, I certainly am getting to the point where this year I will make 100k, in fact more than that. And obviously from the build, the profit from that, probably 650, 700. I think it's absolutely doable. My HMO purchase, obviously, after a refurb, it's going to increase in value, so that's another 35,000. I'm going to increase my monthly income from that to over 2,000, hopefully. But over time, it doesn't really matter because I'm still making healthy profits everywhere else. My rent to rent is 1,323. Increase that by another 3. My rent to rent SA, and I'm also doing a shepherd's hut as well. Yeah, it's amazing. It truly is amazing. And I wouldn't have, I didn't expect any of this, if I'm honest. I did as you suggested. I went through the process, and there was some decisions I made, because once I've made the decision, that's it. I'll just go through it. But it's empowering, it's amazing. And the more you do, actually you find yourself becoming more and more confident with this. I don't even think I've done anything, I don't even think I've even done any creative deals or anything particularly clever. I just think I've just gone through the process, learned at each stage. I understand my numbers. I understand, I found a great patch as well. But that wasn't without looking. I'd gone to different areas, I'd gone to different cities, I'd analysed some deals, I'd looked to see who was coming in to look at those other deals. So, you know, I could see other investors, and I even know where they were coming from to actually look at the properties. So I thought, okay, well, that's not going to work for me. So I found a good city, a good patch, a patch which is going to obviously increase in value over time, where the returns are excellent. But that, you know, that's really my strategy was just go and look and see what would happen, and just try and go through the processes and connect with people. And I haven't connected with huge amounts of people, but the ones I've connected with have really, you know, propelled my journey forward. So let's have a look. Okay, my top tips. Okay, decide on criteria. So I wrote my criteria down, Simon, and every bit of my criteria came true. Basically, I said I want £100,000 income. Yes, I managed that this year. I would like, you know, to buy a HMO. Yes, I managed that. I want to start the build. Well, yeah, that's happening. So basically, all of my criteria I wrote down on that sheet of paper happened. And it happened quite speedily. I've written another list. I said I want to double my portfolio this year. I'm working on that, and that seems to be happening. So yeah, so absolutely amazing. So my other top tips: research an area. Okay, go out there, and I don't just mean. I think you have to walk the streets. I mean, I did, and I think it's important. I think you need to look at all the houses, the condition of the houses, what people have done. You know. And even when you've bought something, still go out there. I mean, I drive around and think, oh, there's a sale board there. Who's that? You know, what kind of people are there? I know the good streets and I know the less good streets. And if I don't, I can find somebody who'll tell me. So really understand, you know, your area, really research that area, and understand the people who are actually wanting to live in that area as well. Okay. Once you've got a deal or two, it gets easier. It's just, you know, after the last event at Sill, I had landlord ring me because I sent my landlord letters, and he said, "Who are you?" And I went, "Okay, well, I'm a property investor and I manage HMOs." "Oh, that's fine. Would you like to manage mine?" But you do get some resistance. But once you've got some deals in there, that flow progresses, and basically, you know, you start pushing on various doors and they open one after the other. So it's absolutely fascinating. It's a people business, and I think that's the other thing. Once you get a few properties, then you realise how important your network is, and you know, the people that you know. So I think to myself, I was thinking out the other night actually, I thought, if I lost all of this, could I start again? But yes, I have the knowledge, I know the people. I could actually do this again. Does it make any difference? It's not about the property. It's also the confidence that grows with this process and this experience. And yeah, it's been amazing and actually wonderful. Yeah, absolutely amazing. Also become an expert in your area. Like I say, the last property I went to view, you know, I haven't ended up buying, but the lady said, "Well, you know what you're talking about. Okay, would you consider managing my property?" And I think, yeah. So, yeah, And that's all the knowledge. In fact, I didn't even know I knew that much. Basically, all the knowledge, you know, you kind of absorb, you know, you're around all of this that's going on, you know, you absorb all that knowledge, and you then are able to just then sort of like, you know, hand it out when required. Okay. Understand your numbers. So obviously the numbers that when I bought the HMO, basically it was a case of, you know, what's my mortgage rate, you know, what's my return. It was fair. It felt very safe because I had tenants in there. I didn't have to do anything to the property. It's not perfect. You know, it can be, you know, it could be better, but basically from the first day I bought it, it was actually paying me money. So I think I bought it on the Monday, but Thursday people pay me rent. So I felt, well, at that point, I thought, okay, but this works. I'm confident with this. But basically, that's the case. I think that you have to know, you know, your numbers, and then, you know, as happened to me, you know, I wasn't going to lose that deal. I've made that decision, even though, you know, the mortgage company was going to, you know, pull that deal. I was determined I was having that deal. But you know, if they had done, would I've still taken the deal? Probably it still would have stacked up. It wouldn't have been quite as good, but yeah, I think it's still a great property in a great location, and nobody can take that away. And remember, you don't have to do everything yourself. And this is a problem. I have a problem with that, in the sense that yes, I am quite controlling. But I have got a gardener, I have got, you know, a handyman, I have got cleaners. I've got cleaners in all my properties. There was a time that I was actually doing some of these things, but as I'm getting more, I'm doing less of that. And I know that, you know, unfortunately, well, my tenants still text me. But maybe that's one point that I need to think about, you know, the next stage is to get somebody else to have that kind of contact. You know, but if there are issues, I think you realise that as you go along, they don't really phase you. So in other words, you know, the other day I think we had a leak. You know, one of the bathrooms leaked. There was water everywhere. I just got somebody around. You know, these things are, you know, as you go over and progress, these things actually stop. You know, they don't stop you. And I don't know, I just forget about those things and just think about all the great things, you know. I think about Andy and his coffee and cake, and I'll probably be doing the same, Andy. So, you know, I'll go to my HMOs and might end up with you know, find a nice venue on the way back and think, hey, this is great. What a great life this is. I'm not contracting, I'm not working all over the country, I'm having a great time. And I think that's what it comes down to, that it is fantastic, and I've loved every minute.
I do hope you got massive value from watching that inspirational case study. Hope you took lots of notes and start using some of the hints and tips in your property investing journey. Now, if you like this video, please hit the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and make sure you hit the bell icon so you'll get notified whenever we bring out new content and training that's going to help you be a more successful investor. If you've got any comments, just list those below, and I'll come back and answer as many as I can. And by the way, there's going to be a link below for you to get some further training so you can find out how you can get the kind of results we've just been talking about in this interview. As ever, I encourage you to invest with knowledge, invest with skill. See you in the next video we've lined up for you.